Did you know that nearly 52% of adults have admitted to having sex in public places? It's a surprising fact, isn't it? Yet various studies around the globe substantiate this claim. From parks to beaches and even some more daring locations, the world has unwittingly become a stage for these intimate acts. The question is, why? What makes public places appealing for such private moments? The answer lies in the human psyche. For some, it's the thrill of doing something taboo, something that society frowns upon. For others, it's the adrenaline rush they get from the risk of potentially being caught that adds an extra layer of excitement to their encounters. These reasons, however, are just the tip of the iceberg. The motivations behind public sex are as varied as the individuals who partake in it. But before you get any ideas, let's delve into the legal and ethical implications. Picture this: a secluded beach under the moonlight, the sound of the waves gently crashing against the shore, the cool breeze rustling the palm leaves, and the soft sand under your feet. It's just you and your partner, alone in this beautiful place. It's easy to see why such settings can be alluring for intimate moments. Romantic settings have a way of enhancing the connection between two people. The beauty and tranquility of the surroundings can create an atmosphere that's both intimate and exciting. But it's important to remember that these places are not our private playgrounds. They are shared spaces that deserve our respect. We must be mindful of the potential impact of our actions on others, who also have a right to enjoy these spaces without intrusion or discomfort. The thrill of being alone in a beautiful place can be intoxicating. However, it's crucial to remember that the setting can make all the difference. A secluded beach under the moonlight may sound romantic, but it's still a public place. It's important to consider the potential legal and ethical implications before getting carried away. Remember, the setting can make all the difference. A romantic interlude can be just as thrilling, if not more, in a private setting. So, before you decide to turn a public place into your private love nest, think about the potential consequences, both legal and ethical. After all, it's better to be safe than sorry. You might think it's all fun and games until you're slapped with a hefty fine or even a prison sentence. Now, let's dive into the legal consequences of public sex in different regions. Let's start with the United States. In most states, engaging in sexual activities in public can lead to charges of indecent exposure or public lewdness. These are generally considered misdemeanors and could result in fines, probation, or even time in jail. But let's not forget, in some cases, it could also lead to registration as a sex offender, which carries lifelong implications. Moving on to the United Kingdom, the Sexual Offences Act of 2003 criminalizes sex in public places. If you're caught, you might be charged with outraging public decency, a crime that can carry a sentence of up to 6 months in prison or a heftier fine. Let's take a trip to Australia. In the land down under, public sex is also considered a criminal offense. The penalties vary from state to state, but generally speaking, you could face fines, community service, or even imprisonment. In the United Arab Emirates, public displays of affection can land you in hot water, let alone engaging in sexual activities. The penalties are severe and could include imprisonment or deportation. Over in Singapore, public sex is a serious offense under the Miscellaneous Offences Act. It's punishable by imprisonment for up to 1 month or a fine or both. Now let's look at South Africa. The Sexual Offences Act criminalizes any sexual act in a public place. If found guilty, you could face a fine or a prison sentence of up to 2 years. So, whether you're in the United States, United Kingdom, Australia, United Arab Emirates, Singapore, or South Africa, the legal consequences of public sex are quite severe. In many cases, it's not just a slap on the wrist, it's a criminal offense that can lead to lasting repercussions. As you can see, the risks are quite substantial. Seduction is an art, and it can be quite thrilling. It's about creating an atmosphere of desire, a dance between two people that can add spice to any relationship. The thrill of the chase, the anticipation, the playful flirting, all these elements can lead to an intoxicating mix of emotions. But seduction isn't just about the physical act, it's also about the mental and emotional connection between two people. It's about understanding your partner's desires, their likes and dislikes, and using this knowledge to create a deeper bond. The art of seduction can be a powerful tool to keep the spark alive in a relationship, but it's essential to remember that seduction should always be based on mutual consent and respect. It's about creating a safe space where both parties feel comfortable and excited. It's not about manipulation or coercion, but about fostering a sense of intimacy and connection. So next time you're looking to spice things up, remember that seduction can be a fun and exciting way to keep the spark alive. but always keep in mind the importance of consent and respect. Because at the end of the day, the most seductive thing of all is a deep respect for your partner and their desires. Besides the legal troubles, there's also the issue of ethics to consider. Now, ethics are subjective. What might be acceptable to you might not be to someone else. And that's where the crux of the ethical dilemma around sex in public places lies. Let's break it down a bit. When we talk about ethics, we're talking about the moral principles that guide our decisions and actions. In this context, one of the key ethical concerns is the potential violation of other people's rights. You see, when two consenting adults engage in intimate activities in a public space, they could inadvertently infringe upon the rights of others who did not consent to witnessing such acts. It's important to remember that public spaces belong to everyone. They are shared spaces meant for all members of the community. And when we say all, we mean everyone. From children to adults, from those who might be comfortable with public displays of affection to those who might not be. So when we make choices that could potentially affect others in these spaces, we need to be mindful of their feelings and rights as well. The lack of consent from bystanders is another aspect to consider. Consent is a fundamental principle in any sexual activity. But in a public setting, bystanders haven't given their consent to be a part of the situation. They didn't sign up to witness intimate acts while they're out and about enjoying their day. Now, some might argue that the thrill and spontaneity of the act justify the means. But it's essential to remember that one person's thrill should not come at the expense of another's discomfort or distress. It's about finding a balance between personal enjoyment and respect for others. So, it's not just about what you want, but also about respecting others. It's about understanding that your actions can have consequences, not just for you, but for those around you as well. It's about recognizing that while personal freedom is important, it should never infringe upon the rights and comfort of others. So, next time you're caught up in the moment, remember to consider the ethical implications of your actions. Now, let's debunk some common myths about public sex. First up is the myth that it's only illegal if you get caught. This is a dangerous falsehood. The law doesn't operate on a catch-me-if-you-can basis. Whether you're caught in the act or not, having sex in public is illegal in many jurisdictions. The act itself is what's considered an offense, not the act of getting caught. So, even if you've been sly enough to evade the authorities so far, it doesn't make the act any less illegal. Next, let's tackle the myth that it's not a big deal as long as no one sees. It's easy to think that if no one's around to witness the act, it's not really a problem. But this is far from the truth. Remember, public spaces are just that, public. They are places where people, including children, have a right to be without being exposed to sexual activity. Even if you think no one is around, the risk of someone unexpectedly coming across you is always there. And that can be traumatic, especially for children. You might also have heard that public sex can be thrilling and spice up your relationship. While it's true that novelty and excitement can enhance a romantic relationship, it's essential to consider the potential harm to others and the legal implications. There are plenty of other ways to keep the spark alive in your relationship that don't involve breaking the law or potentially causing distress to others. Lastly, there's the belief that if both parties are consenting, it's fine. This is another misconception. Consent between involved parties is crucial, but it's not the only factor to consider. The rights and comfort of others in the public space are also important. As we've seen, these myths couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is that public sex is not just about the individuals involved. It has broader implications, including legal consequences and potential harm to others. Therefore, it's important to make informed decisions and consider the potential impact of our actions on others and on society as a whole. So, you're looking for a thrill but want to stay on the right side of the law? There are safer alternatives. First and foremost, consider role-playing. It's a way of creating an exciting and unpredictable environment without leaving the comfort and safety of your private space. It could be as simple as pretending to be strangers meeting for the first time, or as intricate as reenacting scenes from your favorite movie. The possibilities are only limited by your imagination. Another alternative is visiting clubs or resorts specifically designed for adult activities. These places often have private rooms or sections dedicated for couples who want to explore their intimacy in a more public setting, but within legal boundaries. Remember, these places have rules and guidelines for a reason, to ensure everyone's safety and comfort. Be sure to familiarize yourselves with these rules before you dive in. One of the most important aspects to remember, regardless of the setting, is the importance of consent. Consent is not just about saying yes or no, it's about clear communication and understanding between all parties involved. It's about setting and respecting boundaries. Consent should be enthusiastic, informed, and can be withdrawn at any time. Respecting others is equally crucial. Whether you're in a private or public setting, it's important to be aware of those around you. Not everyone may share your sense of adventure or be comfortable with public displays of intimacy. Keep in mind that what might be exciting for you could be uncomfortable or even distressing for others. To conclude, there are several ways to keep the thrill alive without crossing legal or ethical boundaries. Role-playing, visiting adult clubs or resorts, ensuring consent, and respecting others are just a few safer alternatives. It's about finding a way to express your desires in a manner that respects your partner's boundaries, as well as the comfort and rights of others around you. Remember, the key is to find a balance between thrill and respect for others. Let's quickly recap what we've learned today. We began by discussing the shocking prevalence of sex in public places, a phenomenon more common than many might think. We delved into the potential legal consequences, which can be severe and long-lasting, reminding everyone that the thrill of the moment may not be worth the potential fallout. We then explored the ethical dilemma this presents, acknowledging the rights and comfort of others who share public spaces. We debunked some common myths, clarifying that not all public encounters are as romantic or exciting as they may seem in movies or books. Finally, we discussed alternatives and safe practices. There are many ways to keep the spark alive in a relationship without risking legal trouble or infringing on others' rights. So the next time you feel the urge, remember what you've learned today. Stay safe and respectful.